Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So if you are here, then I assume that you have read or that you have attempted to read this book. Um, so this book did not take the normal trajectory of a sequel or the trajectory that I think any of us thought it would take. I personally came up with a ton of different things that I thought would happen, a bunch of different scenarios, and none of that happened. So I thought it would be interesting to do an analysis to see how we got here. And if we, me and you as the reader, if we should have expected more of what did happen as opposed to what we thought would happen. I think in order to do that, we have to go back to the Coldest Winter Ever. Now, I did do a recap of the Coldest Winter Ever, but I did not do an analysis or a review of the book. So let's start there. So if you are type nerd like me, then you probably bought the version of the Coldest Winter Ever that has the discussion questions and the character analysis in the end. I personally think that those discussion questions and character analyses were way more revealing about how Sister Soldier felt about Winter and the whole Santiago family, including Midnight, than anything that we read in the book. Obviously, she meant Winter to be a cautionary tale, but I think she feels that her readers did not see the caution in the tale. So I think in order for us to start answering the question of what we should have expected in this book, we need to determine whether Sister Soldier's view of Winter was correct or whether the reader's view of Winter was correct, or is it possible that the correct view of Winter is somewhere in between. So what I've done is I've gone through Winter's character analysis and I've highlighted some of the parts that I thought were important for us to discuss to determine whether or not Winter was a redeemable character. I think ultimately that's why her character ended up in the situation she did in the new book, is because Sister Soldier saw her as not redeemable. So I'm going to read some of the passages and then I'll discuss because I'm the only person here, whether or not these things make Winter not redeemable. So everyone is beneath Winter, beholden to her and her family, or irrelevant and non-existent. This permanently alters her ability to experience healthy friendships. This is true. This is a behavior that is learned from both her mother and her father. She has always been taught that they are heads and shoulders above everybody else in the projects, and nobody is on their level. So she didn't have friends. She had groupies. She had cheerleaders. But as far as like genuine friendships, I don't think Winter had those. Even though her friends did consider her to be a friend, she considered them beneath her. Santiago taught Winter that she deserved the best, but not because she worked for it or accomplished anything in her life. She deserved it because he said so. She deserved it because she was royalty. In the process of giving Winter too much, Santiago was also taking something away. All the years he spends over providing and protecting her from the real world is time lost helping her develop a real skill of her own. Another twisted tradition was the decision not to send Winter to school with regularity. Okay, this is true. Winter did not go to school. She did not get she did not really have any real responsibilities, and she didn't have any life skills of her own. But despite that, her father did still teach her that she deserved the best. This is obviously not ideal, but I'm not going to fault Winter for the things that her father taught her. And to be honest, I'm not even. A lot of parents teach their kids that they deserve the best or that they are deserving of nice things. And it's not necessarily tied to effort. You deserve to be treated nicely because you are a person, and you shouldn't allow people to treat you poorly. is a lesson that people teach their children. So I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. That being said, he should have invested more in her education. When Winter's in tight spots after the takedown of her father, she cannot or does not think constructively about how to make money, employ herself, or reignite her education. Even though her skills as a cosmetologist, manicurist, beautician, decorator, and designer were impeccable and apparent to the reader, they were not considered viable options to Winter. I don't think that's true. I think when Winter was in the House of Success, she did use those skills to help earn her extra money. Otherwise, the only money that she would have had was the little allowance that she was given, and she did have more money than that. Ricky Santiago did talk to his daughter. His words were lessons in street survival. For example, he taught her how to be the daughter of a drug kingpin. He taught her how to keep the family business quiet. He taught her how to profile and stunt to look the part. He taught her not to go out with men who were not sharp and aggressive, not to go out with men who can't give her, again, what she deserves. He gave her little stories about how he set up his drug business and why. Yet he never trained her to survive in the real world, the legitimate realm. This is true. Her father did not teach her anything worth value or any real world, lessons. But I think that it's shocking that we would think that when it's time for Winter to be in the real world, that she would have skills that she was never taught. Winter does not side with her father and refuse to have anything to do with the man who brought about her father's downfall. This is talking about her decision to date Bullet. Okay, so let me start all over. Winter does not side with her father and refuse to have anything to do with the man who brought about her father's downfall. According to his top lieutenant, we are not discussing here Winter's words or her emotions. We are discussing her actual actions. She speaks of loving her father, being loyal to her father. When it comes right down to the bottom line, how deep is her love? This is true. But if you recall, Winter has burned every single bridge that she has. She herself is not a reliable source of strength to take care of herself. So when Bullet comes around, it's not like Winter has a ton of options. So I think her desperation allows her to rationalize in her eyes her decision to be with Bullet in that moment. And to be fair, her father left her with nothing. She doesn't have a lot of options. Winter's mom taught Winter that beautiful women are supposed to be taken care of. She did. The absence of this information created a Winter Santiago who was an emotional, mental, spiritual, and intellectual midget. Moreover, the absence of a mother whose presence teaches love, compassion, intelligence, consideration, and consciousness leads to the creation of daughters and sons who cannot love anyone in a wholesome way themselves. Consequently, the mother's shortcomings become the daughter's shortcomings. The mother's shortcomings become the daughter's shortcomings. Why do we think that Winter, all of a sudden, magically, in the midst of a crisis, will be able to navigate through life when she has no emotional intelligence, barely has any intellectual intelligence? Like it says, she's a spiritual and an intellectual midget. So why all of a sudden, just because her parents are taken away, would she be able to navigate through life? So we witness Winter's lack of capacity for emotion in the treatment of her mom. She's thinking, well, I'm still beautiful. Why waste too much time worrying about anything or anyone else? Winter is an emotional dwarf, lacks the awareness and intelligence to help her mom fight the mental illness and drug addiction that she is quickly approaching. She thinks only of how her mother's downfall will affect her friend's image of herself. Winter is 17, 1, and 2, there are adults, grown people who cannot help their children fight mental illness and drug addiction. Why would we think that Winter, in her immature state will be able to help anybody through such a thing. Um, I don't know why we would think that she could help. The idea that 2 or 3 heads is better than one when attempting to solve a problem never crosses her mind. She does not respect her mother's ability to think or hustle. Moreover, because her mother is now ugly, she looks at and treats her as if she's useless. This is not true. When Winter came home and her father was arrested, Winter did try to, put her head together with her mother and come up with a plan. Her mother was in no state to help. She immediately started yelling about, "Do you think Santiago's not coming home?" or whatever she was saying. She was not of help, but it's not because Winter didn't ask her to, for help initially. She just decided, hey, it's best if I do this on my own. And it was, to a certain degree. Winter Santiago moves on to establish a life separate from her mother's ruined life. These attitudes and actions are what makes Winter the coldest winter ever. Um, I think this statement assumes that Winter's life had stability of its own, and it didn't. From the time her father was arrested to the end of the book, there was no time in which Winter's life had any stability. No, she did not think of her mother in the ways that she probably should have. But I don't know. I think that drug addiction and mental illness is a lot to deal with for a 17-year-old. Okay, so this is talking about Winter and her sisters. Whilst the Santiago family is on top, Winter does the normal babysitting chores that an older sister would do in any family, rich or poor. She takes Portia to her dance lessons, the children to the mall. She is so perfect at always distinguishing herself as separate from mostly above everyone else of any age. However, we never get a sense that the word sister has any deeper meaning in her mind and heart. We never hear her speak of them as more than an obligation, intrusion, or nuisance. Okay, she's a teenager. She's a teenager with little sisters. I think that in some sibling circles, siblings are always close, from birth to adulthood, they always are. And I think in other sibling circles, siblings don't become as close as they should until adulthood. Sometimes they don't ever become close. But I think at this age, when she is 17 and her youngest, her next younger sister is 8, that's a big age gap. That's a huge age gap. So the fact that she treats them as a nuisance or an obligation is not shocking. And I don't think that we should condemn her for that at this young age. Winter romanticizes her friendships in the beginning of the novel. She believes that she and they are tight. However, the bond between Winter and anyone is only valid if Winter is in the higher and envy position. That's definitely true. If she's not at the top of the hierarchy, she is not happy. She's not content. She's not willing to accept this. If her friends ever showed even a desire to reach for the place where Winter stands, she finds a way to cut them off, knock them down, put them in what she believed should be their permanent low position. She does, and that is again a behavior that was taught to her by her mother. At no point does Winter express regret, remorse, or even sympathy for Simone's loss of her first child. Okay, this is true, but you have to be careful in this situation, because Simone lost the child while trying to attack, maim, or kill Winter. And I think that sometimes that alters your ability to be able to sympathize with the person if the person that you are supposed to be sympathizing with just attacked you or tried to attack you. So I don't know. The most overlooked fact in The Coldest Winter Ever teaches us a lot about the character Winter and the readers who love her. That's us, y'all. In 3 years of touring after publishing The Coldest Winter Ever, no one has ever asked me about chapter 16, where Winter fills a sock full of rocks, then beats a female senior citizen with them. I don't know. I don't think that that's ever a question that I would decide to write in about. I I can't see myself being like, oh my God, what happened to that one lady? And I I don't know. What do y'all think? The fact that no book club member, audience member, or inquisitive independent reader has ever asked about the female senior citizen demonstrates the temperature in our community below freezing. I'm not sure what to think about this. I'm not. Was Winter wrong? Absolutely. I thought part of what it shows is her desperation. Um, because I don't think that that was like an innate part of her character. I think that it shows the desperation in the position that she felt that she was in. What that says about us, I'm not going to say it was a trivial part of the book, but I don't. So much happened in this story. I don't know that as a young person reading this story that you're going to focus in on that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Of the thousands and thousands of letters I receive about this novel, 90% of them are from girls and women ages 11 through 40. All who swear in ink, Sister Soldier, I am Winter Santiago. For so many women, the majority identify themselves as Black and or Latina. To identify this way supports my longtime belief that there is a state of emergency in ghettos worldwide. I mean, well, yeah, it's ghetto. Are we saying that Winter Santiago's attitude is beautiful, or is it that beautiful looking girls and women should be excused and be able to get away with absolutely anything? Are her choices cool and acceptable? Is it that we want for our daughters? Is this what we want for ourselves? Is this what we expect and accept for our communities worldwide? Um, I don't think that it's that we're saying Winter's behaviors are always correct. That's not what people are saying. But I do feel that there's a certain hustle, a certain determination, will to win, to succeed, be on top, that is commendable to a certain degree in Winter. I think a lot of people under her exact circumstances would have folded. They would have become depressed, or they would have given up. And I think Winter's refusal to give up is what people connect with. And I think about this is a tangent, but I think about The Wire and how we watched the fall of the Barksdale organization in The Wire. And Winter and Bodie are similar characters to me. Bodie he's done a lot of deplorable things if you've watched the show. But Bodie's determination to stay true to the game and to himself and to survive after the fall of Barksdale's organization is similar to what we see in Winter. And even though some people have never been able to forgive Bodie for what he has done, I think by the time he leaves the show, there's a sadness and that he's leaving in the way and manner that he does. And I think that him and Winter have parallel stories where we watch the fall of their organization and we watch them struggle to survive, to stay on top. I don't think it's so black and white that we can say Winter is bad. I think we watch so much happen to her that there is no way for us just to say that. And not only in these circumstances, I think with the man that she encounters. Now, some of this is Winter's fault because of her mentality and what she's looking for in the man. But if you even take, for instance, Midnight, who's supposed to be, hold on, what's Midnight supposed to be? Midnight is the heart of The Coldest Winter Ever. Through him is delivered the strongest and most relevant message to Black men ever delivered. in the form of literature. Without a man like him, in each and every home, there's an absence so deep it stains the face of our women, steals the chastity of our daughters, and ensures an early burial for our sons. Y'all, I didn't get that from Midnight. I really didn't. I feel like um Midnight was cruel to Winter. Midnight was unnecessarily cruel to Winter. Even if you do not like Winter, you personally know her circumstances. You know that, she just lost her mother. I mean, sorry, she didn't just lose her mother. Her mother just got shot in the face. They just lost all of their possessions, and her father is in jail. So even if you don't like her, there's no need to kick her while she's down. I just don't like Midnight. I don't know. So anyway, based on what I have read, what I can say is that Winter is who she is supposed to be based on how she was raised. And from 17 to when she ends up arrested at like 18 or 19, I don't know how we expect Winter to make a complete turnaround, given the desperate state that she's in, given her lack of resources. This girl ain't never been to, well, she had been through therapy at the House of Success, but she didn't see it as a real tool to healing. I don't think emotionally and mentally Winter had the tools necessary to overcome the environment that she grew up in. So I think for her to be considered, not to be considered redeemable is very harsh. I think it's a harsh assessment, especially for a kid. I think that is lost in this story so much. Winter is just a kid. She's 17. That is in no way, shape, or form an age in which we should condemn someone for the rest of their lives. So I don't know, but that is what I think. Ultimately, Winter does not get a happily ever after. She spends 15 years in prison. She's sentenced to 15 years in prison, mandatory time at the end of their book. I don't know anybody who wants to spend 15 years in prison, mandatory time. So I think the author finding her not to be redeemable during those 15 years mandatory time is partially or mostly how we end up with this book. So now we're to the book. And I guess in an effort to drive home to us that there is nothing to like or revere or anything about Winter, the author decides to kill her off in the first chapter of the book, the first sentence of the book, and send her to limbo, or the last stop before the drop, or whatever. And to be honest, it's just a downhill experience from there. Winter is, if possible, more shallow, more self-absorbed, more stupid than she ever was in the original book. So one of the things I failed to mention that I hate about Midnight is the hypocrisy. Midnight is a self-righteous hypocrite. He is a lieutenant, a top lieutenant in Santiago's drug organization, yet he has the unmitigated audacity to tell Winter all of the ways in which she cannot be respected because of the way she dresses, talks, conducts, behaves. Not the drug dealer talking about respectability politics, not the drug dealer showing her everything wrong with her. So, I mean, honestly, I could not take him as a person. You thought the respectability politics in that book was bad. I mean, it's nothing compared to this book. It's chock full of respectability politics, homophobia, anti-abortion messages, anti-choice messages. It's horrible. It is literally horrible. So, because we cannot be trusted as an audience to make the decision about what is right and what is wrong, the author has chosen for us. She has literally put Winter in a relationship with Satan's son. Winter is having sex with Satan's actual son, y'all. Anal sex. So, anal sex apparently is a crime against humanity that is so bad that in this book, should you participate in anal sex, it will turn you into a animal, an actual animal. So Winter has sex with that nigga, and I'm not saying that nigga like that's his name in the book. It's that nigga. She has sex with him when they first meet down in, I forgot, the last stop before the drive. And the first time she does it, it turns her into a snake. She gets her human form back somehow. They have sex again. The next time she does it, it turns her into a dog. Y'all, that nigga, actual name, is having sex with Winter in the form of a dog. There is literal bestiality going on in this book. I have no idea what's going on at this point. I just, whatever. I don't know. So the other major messaging is anti-abortion messaging in this book. Winter somehow gets her human form back from the dog, and she is forced to meet with the unborn soul of her aborted twins that she aborted when she was 17. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I assume this is some sort of religious messaging, or supposed to be some religious Islamic messaging. I don't know about Islam, but I refuse to believe that what is going on inside this book has anything to do with Islam. It's I can't. So it's just a whole lot of religious propaganda. It's a whole lot of respectability politics. It's literally disgusting. Anyway, in order for Winter to get out of purgatory, she has to admit that she has murdered her children through abortion. She's not ready to do this. She runs off and she has a relationship with Satan, y'all. This is actually Satan, that nigga's daddy. His name is Satan. I know. Anyway, to make a long story short, Winter, after pledging not to have anal sex because she doesn't want to turn into an animal again, does it in the midst of a threesome to prove that she is the top bitch, and turns into a rat. The other girl who she's in a threesome with turns into a snake. The snake eats Winter in the rat form, and then Winter is turned into shit, a pile of shit. I'm not sure. And eventually, her unborn son comes back, and he, he's a teenager now. He comes back and he rescues her from being shit, and then she goes to the place above the last stop before the drop, because she's able to admit that, Allah is king, or God, or whoever, and it's a mess. It's a mess. So eventually, in this place, to be given a real chance at heaven, Winter has to be willing to admit all of the sins that she's ever, perpetrated. So she has to admit that she has been a liar, that she's had anal sex, that she has had oral sex, that she has been a thief, she has been a fornicator, she has been a liar, she's been everything. And she's coveted clothing, she's coveted jewels, things like that. And the last thing she has to admit is the murder. Y'all remember when I was saying about how she hit that lady with that sock full of rocks? Well, turns out that lady died. So now she has to admit to being a murderer of that lady and a murderer of her unborn kids, and then she's let out of purgatory, or out of that stop above the last before the drop. And turns out Winter was in a coma this whole time, and she's learned to be a better person, and she's reunited with her father and her sister, and I guess she's working on herself. Y'all, I don't wanna overstate this, but I think this is the worst book I've ever read in my entire life. I think it was so bad. It was so bad. I mean, but judge for yourself. Feel free to read and judge for yourself. You know, typically I don't read these types of books. I usually read independent Black romance author books, and they are outstanding. I've read a lot of good books, so I will try to focus my reviews on positive books going forward. I just wanted to review this because I did the recap and said I was going to do the review, but I don't know, y'all. Anyway, please comment, rate, and subscribe to my channel if you are interested in reviews of books and other things, and just lifestyle things that I'm up to. If you have any questions, please leave them below, and I am sure next time we will meet on happier terms, because I won't be doing no more reviews like this. Thanks for watching this one, though. See you guys later. Bye.